I remember as a kid being told that when I grew up I could be anything I wanted to be, but that I should pick good role models in life and try to mimic them. And I think for most of us, this concept of a role model was probably first introduced to us as children. Maybe it was an Olympian, or maybe it was a war veteran or someone else. But as we get older, I think the message seems to shift a bit. Instead, lots of people who are older think that we should try to be truly unique, true individuals. We should try to carve out our own destiny. We shouldn't try to be like anybody else. We should only try to be ourselves. But the problem with this is that to really pursue this perfect version of ourselves, we've got to come to a place where we realize that we aren't perfect. So then we look for other people who are perfect in those ways that we want to be perfect. So maybe there's somebody who has really good public speaking abilities, or somebody who has an incredible body, or somebody who has great power and authority. So we look to those people, and before we know it, we're right back to step one, choosing role models to model ourselves after. So if we're being honest, I think that most people would agree that role models are not just for kids. Everybody has role models, no matter what age they are and whether they acknowledge it or not. So it's not a question of whether having role models is good or bad. The question is, are the role models that you choose good or bad? So if we were trying to determine what a good role model is, there's probably some characteristics that we would all agree on. We'd want somebody who would lead us towards something that we would never be able to achieve on our own. We would want somebody who would speak the truth all the time, somebody who will always give us good advice and not just tell us what we want to hear. And ultimately, I think we want somebody who's been very successful at the things that we want to be successful at. But imagine finding that person, all of these things wrapped up in one person, only to have that person say to you, I'm not just a role model. I don't want you to treat me only like a role model, because I'm more than that. I want you to worship me. In fact, I want you to believe that I'm God. That would probably take us back quite a bit. We'd probably stop and kind of wonder, and quite understandably. But if you look at the life of Jesus while he was here on earth, this is exactly what he said. It was clear to everybody who followed him that this was a great role model. He was a man of substance, a strong character, of every positive attribute that we could ever think of, unlike anybody the world had ever seen. He was the very definition of a positive role model. And most people, whether they're Christian or not, would agree that Jesus was a really good man, and there's plenty that we could all learn from him. But Jesus doesn't allow us to just stop there. He takes us further. He takes us into a place where we're forced to make a decision. In John 12, Jesus said, "Whoever believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. And whoever sees me sees him who sent me." So Jesus is saying that whoever sees him sees God. And you might be thinking, so Jesus is saying that he is God. Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying. And that's exactly what separates him from any other role model. And when we come across statements like that, we have to make a decision. Are we going to believe him or not? Are we going to think that he's telling the truth? Or are we going to think that he's absolutely insane? And with Jesus, the way that we answer that question will completely determine how much we gain from who Jesus is. And here's the thing, if we only treat Jesus like a good role model, then we're missing the entire point. It would be like treating an airplane like it's just a really big and funny looking car. You'd be completely missing the point about why the plane even exists. And your limited view would end up preventing the airplane from changing how you see the world. So seeing Jesus only as a role model is seeing him only as a fraction of who he is. Yes, we should see him as somebody, and I would say the absolute best person to model our lives after. But we also need to see him as the one true God, the only one worthy of worship, worthy of complete surrender and complete, uninhibited, unrestrained adoration and devotion.